We'll call to order the City of Douglasville's legislative work session for tonight, which is March the 14th. Our invocation will be done by Pastor E. John Citizen of Spirit Life Church of God, and after that, we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance that will be led by the Mayor Pro Tem Richard Siegel. Please stand for the invocation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And just before I pray, I'd like to just extend a great job done by the mayor and council. You just don't know, the community has been excited about the work y'all been doing. The community has been talking about the work y'all been doing and how y'all have come together to meet the needs of the citizens. So I want to pass that on to the mayor and council. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come in the name of Jesus. We thank you, God, for this chamber and all that takes place in this chamber. Now tonight, God, as we do city business, we ask that you bless the mayor and council, God, as you go forth and it pass the resolutions and do the different things that needs to be done to make the citizens safe in this community. And we thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem and Mr. Citizen. We appreciate the invocation and the update from the community. We have announcements and presentations, and the first, before we do the announcements on protocol and how we'll run the meeting this evening, we have a presentation by myself honoring the Douglasville Tiger Cubs for a successful 2018 season with the 12-year-old and under D1 football team winning the D1 Super Bowl 2018 in the Northwest Georgia Youth Football League, and the 6-year-old and under D1 football team and their 10-year-old and under D1 football team also attending the Super Bowl. This is a great legacy that we continue to have in the city of Douglasville, is the Tiger Cub team, and their legacy is excellent. They produce some great athletes that move on and go through middle school and high school. We even have one or two in the pros and someone that played for the Navy. So I'll read the proclamation and then we'll have you come forward and take a picture. We're very proud of you. It says, whereas the Douglasville Tiger Cubs have been a fantastic community partner for many years, and the Douglasville Tiger Cubs also have been instrumental in developing essential skills for the young people in our community, including teamwork, dedication, responsibility, and perseverance. And whereas the 2018 football season has been especially successful for the Tiger Cubs. And whereas the 12-year-old and under Douglasville Tiger Cubs won the D1 Northwest Georgia Youth Football League Super Bowl, yay! And whereas the 10-year-old and under Douglasville Tiger Cubs appeared in the D1 Northwest Georgia Youth Football League Super Bowl, and the 6-year-old and under Douglasville Tiger Cubs appeared in the D1 Northwest Georgia Youth Football League Super Bowl. And now, therefore, I, Rochelle Robinson, Mayor of the City of Douglasville, do hereby recognize, honor, and commend the 12-year-old U football team on their Super Bowl winning 2018 season, and the 10U and 6U football teams on their successful 2018 season. So proclaimed this 14th day of March, November 2019. So we'll please ask the Douglasville Tiger Cubs to come forward and receive this proclamation. Let's give them a hand as they come.
All right, big smiles, everybody. Beautiful. Thank you.
Very good. I would like to welcome you again to the City of Douglasville's legislative work session. This is a work session where agenda items are presented for discussion and no official action will be taken tonight. Official action will be taken on these items discussed tonight on Monday's meeting. If you're here and the business you're here for is not listed as an agenda item, there will be ample time under the agenda item comments from citizens and delegates section, and you can bring your business to us at that time. And when you come, you have 5 minutes to address the council, and we'd love to hear from you. There are just a few protocol issues I'd like to go over. When you're coming to speak, if you're going to make comments on agenda items or non-agenda items, I ask that you would keep your comments and presentations on a professional level dealing with the facts that are important for this governing body to make our decisions. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be of a personal attack on any individual or group of individuals. You'll receive a warning from the chair. If you deviate from that requirement, a second deviation will result in a request to ask you to leave the premises for the evening. Only one person speaking at a time. Please do not applaud or be disruptive and talk to other people while you're giving your presentation. I'll remind you that we are only required to accept public comments as it relates to on public hearings for zoning matters. If you have a cell phone or iPad or any electronic device, would ask that you would please put those in silent mode so they won't be disruptive during the meeting, or turn those off until the meeting takes place. Now the agenda items will be handled as the following. The committee chairperson will read the agenda item, then that person representing that agenda item will come forward, the applicant or that person, and this is your opportunity to present to myself and the council members. Then the mayor and myself and council members will possibly ask questions for clarifying information to help us have a better understanding of what you're presenting. After that, committee chair will ask for comments or statements from the audience. There is a maximum time of 30 minutes for those who are speaking in favor of that agenda item and 30 minutes for those that are in opposition to the agenda item that's on the item to be discussed. Each person will have 5 minutes to address us, and there is a card that's on the table that you should have filled out, and that card goes to the city clerk, Ms. Vicki Acker, to my right, and it asks for your name and address for the record. So each person, again, has one opportunity. This is not a question and answer format. It isn't a debate format. We're just here to receive information, and it will help us to be able to make our decisions. So that's how the agenda will be handled tonight, and that's the protocol on how we will handle the meeting. Now we'll move on to the agenda items as printed and go to our first meeting committee, which is Public Safety Committee. That is chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
Yes, ma'am. I have one item. Authorize the mayor to sign a license agreement with Courtware Solutions, Inc. for computerized court management and online payment services. Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
How you
Thank
doing?
you.
I'm Angela Cochran. I'm the Court Service Administrator at 2083 Fairburn Road, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135. This is just a renewal contract with Courtware Solutions. It's what we use for our court software and for our online payments. The only change that they are requesting is that they're going to go up the rate by $1. And they've not had a rate increase the whole time that we've used them. So that might be something y'all want to consider.
Angela, what is the current rate now?
The current rate now is $2.25 per citation, and it's going up to $3.25 per citation.
$2.25.
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
and it's going up to $3.25.
325.
Oh, I'm sorry, I should have guessed.
Okay, do we have any questions from the council?
I had a quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Ms. Angie, is this the same company that you've had before?
Yes.
Have you had any issues with them?
I've not
or-
had any issues with them, I mean, other than just little glitches here and there, but yeah, they're a great company.
And citizens haven't made any complaints when they try to pay?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
We never have any problems with them going on the line and paying.
very good.
And if we do, they're right there to fix it.
No, that's good. That's great customer
Involved.
service.
Yes, it is. They have great customer service.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Angie. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I had.
Any other council member? So, Angela, how long will this They're not gonna go up on us every year, are they?
No, like I said, this is the first time, I've dealt with courtware for 15 years, and this is the first time they've ever had a rate increase.
Okay. If there are no other questions from the council, I'd like to put this on the consent agenda for Monday, if the council pleasure, Council Mayor pleasure.
Thank you.
That's all you have?
Yeah, I would like to put it on the consent agenda for Monday, if that's council and mayor.
I think everyone is fine. We don't see any
Okay.
opposition.
Thank
for
you,
that.
that's all I have.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you, Mr. Davis. We'll move on to Community and Economic Development Committee. That's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item to appoint an individual to serve on the City of Douglasville's Convention and Visitors Bureau Advisory Board, Restaurant 2 post, for an unexpired term extending through December 31st, 2019. We will be interviewing 2 candidates on Monday in our committee meetings. The resumes are attached to this item, so feel free to look at those over the weekend and be ready to ask all sorts of questions on Monday. I have no other items for today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We'll move on now to Planning and Development Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I
You're
appreciate it very much. Planning and Development Committee has several items tonight, and I hope not at the behest of others. I'm going to change the agenda just a little bit, pull
Okay.
rank to take 1 or 2 of the shorter timed items that I'm sure we're going to have ahead so that we can clear some of the people in case we have needs for more room. So I'm going to start by going to item I,
Okay.
which is hold a public hearing and consider a request for special land use permit for sales of new and used cars for property zone CG Commercial District at 8199 Dallas Highway, Highway 92, Land Lot 17, District 1, Section 5, Parcel B89, B88, and B80, application signed by Doris Wall. Ms. Wall, I appreciate you all being here, and with your representative, Mr. Fowler. You all have heard the rules, folks, about how we're going to conduct the public hearing, and I would allow you then to go forward, sir.
Thank you. Joe Fowler, Post Office Box 49, Douglasville. I represent Doris, whom you've identified already. The tenants of the property are also here near the back, right there. There was a concern at the P&Z Board hearing concerning the general manner in which the property has been kept. And we've spoken with the tenants, have a firm commitment for them not to allow the property to fall into a state of disrepair. Everybody knows it's been used for this purpose since 2006. Ms. Wall has indicated that she is going to paint, re-roof the building. The tenants have committed to continuing the use of the property in the manner which had been for years. We simply ask that you'd please grant this special use permit. I know there was concern expressed about students possibly walking along the sidewalk to get to the middle school, but of course, it's been used. I'm sorry, the sidewalk's been there for some time. We've had no accidents whatsoever, but we will do everything within our power to make sure there's no interference with the sidewalk at all. Other than that, we'd be more than glad to respond to any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler. Is there anyone here, first of all, since we have the applicant before us, is there any questions that council or Madam Mayor may have of the applicant in this item?
Only thing I would say is we appreciate your willingness to spruce up, as we say, to keep your facility nice. We appreciate that. You didn't have to do it. We appreciate that you're keeping it looking nice, setting the example. So thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
on that property, do they require a fence, the fence in the cars, fenced in property?
I don't think there's an ordinance required for it to be fenced. We haven't had a problem with that in the past. If the council were to require that, would have to do it, of course, but I'm not sure that there's any ordinance provision that requires it to be fenced.
Others? Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Watts.
The concerns expressed by the zoning board is parking for future customers. Was that?
We discussed that, we discussed it, and we believe when they get the cars aligned properly on the property, on the lot, that'll solve the parking issue. Plus, there was an issue raised, you may know if you've seen the minutes, about loitering on the property. And we have the tenants on a month-to-month basis. And if it's not resolved, we know how to solve that problem.
They also felt like that there needed to be more improvements for the commercial use. So is that going along with what you're
Yes, sir.
saying?
Yes, it's going to be painted, roof fixed, and if there's some other sprucing up that needs to be done, we'll take care of that. If the county wants to send an inspector out to look at it, that'd be fine.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Okay, I did have one question, Mr. Fowler. So the tenants that are present tenants in the building now, are these tenants that have been there for some time? Are these new tenants? What's the situation?
New tenants.
So we have new tenants coming into a building that Ms.
It's
Wall is suggesting that there needs to be some improvements on. So you basically are turning over a new leaf as far as the use of the property.
Some respects, yes, sir, that's accurate.
Okay. Is there anyone else here that would speak on behalf of this application, please? Seeing none, is there anyone here that would speak against this application for special land use permit? If so, please come forward. Give us your name and address for the record, and we would love to hear from you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Madeline Hubbard, and my address is 7222 Cedar Forest Drive, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. And good evening, Madam
evening.
Mayor and the rest of the council. I have a concern as a resident of Douglasville, Georgia, all my life. It is a sore look over there on 92. When you go by there, you have people outside who is repairing cars. It looked terrible. It really does. And we have a homeowner who is right next door. There are homeowners down the street. And we don't want that. We don't want our neighborhoods looking like this. Amen, y'all? Y'all need to speak up. I'm sorry, Mayor, I don't want to be out of order.
No,
but
address the chair.
I have, okay, Chair.
Just make your
it's
comments
you.
to us, please, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
One of the main things, because 92 is the gateway to Douglasville from Paulding County and then going into Paulding County, the beauty of our city is that we are working on to make it look better than what it does already. But we have to pass this every day. Most of you all never come that way, and I don't know if you do or don't, but it really does not look well on the north side. And we have cars that are parked behind a fence. So there are a lot of things that are going on that they are not really saying. And if the tenants are gonna be turning over often, then you got new people coming in, and nobody's watching them. But we see it. We see it. So that is my concern, and I am against this, so we do oppose this car lot, car dealership, whatever it is called, to be in that location.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there others that would speak in opposition to the application? Please come forward. State your name and address for the record, and give us your comments. Thank you.
Hi, everybody doing? My name is Kelvin Harris. I stay 6637 Copper Court, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. One of the problems that I'm looking at this area, it's a commercial area that y'all are gonna have a lot. We don't have a car lot on Chapel Hill. We don't have a car lot on Highway 5. Now, we are trying to redo this area. We named it the New Horizon. For many years, we've been looked at as those people over on that side of the track. That has to change. We're looking for something else besides a car lot. That side of the track don't have a grocery store. That side of the track, it don't have a lot of things. But a car lot, it's not acceptable for this community. It's just not. And I want y'all to reconsider and think about how would that look on the New Horizon side that y'all are gonna allow a car lot. Right now, it doesn't have a fence around it. They're there at all times of night. I come through sometime 8:30, 9 o'clock, and somebody's out there working on the car. They don't allow that nowhere else. Rainbow Day, they're not there 24/7. So I'm asking y'all to reconsider. Go by there and look at it. Different times of the night, and you will see what we are seeing coming across that track. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Lucille Davis. I live at 8030 Dallas Highway, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. I live down the street not far from the place of business. I go there, pass by there every day. It appears that they are working on cars. They have some inside working, then they have them outside, hoods up. I have even seen an engine, you know, out on the concrete. There are some cars that are bent, you know, look like they are down, gonna need a lot of repair. So it is an eyesore in the community passing by. If they say it's gonna be a new and used car lot, that's not what's going on now. And I can't see anybody coming by to buy a new car because I haven't seen any new cars there. They're all old cars, you know, in some kind of, you know, condition. So I oppose that, and I hope you all consider, you know, our opinion as well.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Good evening, Mr. Nation.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine, sir. Hope you are.
My name is Jesse Nation, and I reside at 8420 Chicago Avenue, Douglasville. And we are here as a community to appeal to the council to please reject this permit, because as we know from facts that that part of town has traditionally been neglected. And so we you have heard some of the residents express the visions that we have for that side of town now. And putting another used car lot over there does not complement our vision that we have for that community. And also we just want to say that it's, as I said, it's been traditionally neglected over there. So we just want to say that if you would, please deny this permit. And it is definitely the consensus of the community that this will not be conducive to the vision that we have for the community now, because of now we are finally beginning to see some consideration and improvements on that side of town, and we just like to keep that momentum going. So if you would, please try to see the community's perspective on this issue. And again, we just like thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Anyone else? Okay, if there's no others that would like to speak in opposition, then we will close the public hearing. We will be back on Monday night on this item.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, yes,
I
I'm
did have a
sorry.
comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we'd cover that. Go ahead.
You did. I didn't want to have a debate. I said it wasn't a debate in the beginning. But I just want to give some information for the good of order and for information for the public and the citizens that live on New Horizons, the north side, that of course we had an ADP study done. That was a $179,000 study for that area. The trail system is $1 million. That's in the budget. Jesse Davis Park renovations is $700,000. Wooling Workers Park, $400,000. Curb and gutters, $500,000. And so there's another $145,000 that was allotted to parks as well. And of course, the $111 million highway realignment, Highway 92, that's coming to the area. So just to reassure you that we are thinking about the area. It's on the forefront of where the council is going for the entire community as we're doing downtown renovations and other Hospital Drive and all of that, that we're continuing to have this area in thought. And we, of course, will bring all of that, everything that you've said, and the comments that were made by the applicant in that she's looking to have new ownership, addressing the loitering, parking situations, fixing up the facility with the roof, and all of that. So we'll take all those things into consideration. It's not just one-sided, but to let you know that we're not neglecting what you said, we're not neglecting the area. It's part of the city. The entire city is gonna look like the city of Douglasville no matter where you live. But we have allocated resources to bring the area up. So thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Anyone else have a comment? Okay, we'll close the public hearing, go on to the next item, and we will take this up on Monday. Thank you all for your consideration that you allowed me there to change that order.
Sure.
We'll go back now to the top, to item A, and start with item 22-1911, which was tabled from February the 4th, 2019, to consider a request for revised final plat approval for the shops at Chapel Hill for the purpose of reconfiguring Tract 1 for 3.734 acres, Tract 2 for 4.255 acres, Tract 3 for 0.487 acres, and Tract 4 for 1.625 acres, for a total of 10.103 acres to reflect modifications to ownership and the as-built conditions and authorized structure setbacks at 3000 Chapel Hill Road in Land Lot 47, District 1, Section 5, Parcel 215. Application by ARCP MT Douglasville, LLC. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm great, Mr. Adams. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Adams, members of council, Mr. Dodson, it's good to be back with you again. Some of this I know you've covered, and we worked through the work session on the plat application last month. It was received favorably. Mr. Dodson opined, I think rightly, that the plat application that's before you ought to be held and run as a companion to the item that's next on your agenda. I don't know, I'll try to make my utterances now so
Okay.
I can be brief on the next one.
Thank you very much, sir.
I handed out to each of you, just as a reminder, a copy of the plan so that you could see the issue that has emerged. There is nothing out at the shopping center that's going to be constructed or changed as a result of either of the applications that are pending before you. Tonight, these are applications that are put to the council in order to facilitate some transactions that allow co-investment in the shopping center for the long term. And so we're going to be, the current owner, ARCP, owns, what you're seeing is tracks 1, 2, and 4. Those are going to be divided so that a co-owner will then own track 2. As a result of the creation of that boundary line internal to the site, we have a zoning nonconformity. And so as a practical matter, the lenders, the insurers want the nonconformity issue resolved so that they can lend their money safely, and the real estate lawyers can go forward without concern for their livelihood. So they've asked me to come forward and get your help, if you'll be willing to give it to us, please, to eliminate the nonconformity so the transactions can close. The one question I do have, this may be more a question for Mr. Dodson, Madam Mayor, in terms of sequencing, is whether or not we can have the plat that has been put to council signed by the mayor and then delivered to us so that we can route it out west for signature and then deliver it back to you before it is recording. We would hold that plat in trust, deliver it back to Mr. Dodson. It's a matter of of sequencing and comfort for the lawyers who are closing the transaction. I am not one of those, but we'll follow Mr. Dodson's lead on that.
I have no objection to that procedure, providing that you handle the transaction in a timely fashion.
Okay, we'd appreciate the help. So that's really the presentation for both of the applications. We'd request your approval of the plat, and then you have it. We can pick it up after Monday and route it out west and get it back to you in short order. I think the closing, Mr. Dodson, is set for the 1st of the month. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So this was tabled from February the 4th. We'll take this up on Monday night for consideration on that item. If there's no other comment or consideration or question from council or public comment or question on this item, I'll move on to item B, which is a sister item to this. Here would be holding a public hearing in item B and consider a request for a change in zoning from DCD Design Concept District to a base zoning of CG General Commercial District to amend the development text to provide for 0-foot side yard setbacks for 9.614 plus or minus acres at 3000 Chapel Hill Road, Land Lot 47, District 1, Section 5, Parcel 215, application by ARCP MT Douglasville, Chapel Hill, Georgia, LLC.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Adams, member of council, David Cooper here for the applicant. Let me just for the record say we'll rely on the materials we've submitted with our application and ditto on the last set of comments.
Okay, thank you. Comments, questions from council or Madam Mayor of the applicant? Anyone here wanting to speak in support of this change in zoning? Please come forward. Seeing none, anyone here that would speak in opposition to this change in zoning? Please come forward. Before I close the public hearing, just as in passing, just as a matter of information, I want to ask our council to help me with this. Part of the problem with this is that there are buildings that were all owned by one owner that are now going to be owned by different owners, and there is no there was no zero lot line zoning in place at the time all that was done. Is that the situation that we're trying to address? Yes. Okay. Just to put it in layman's terms, we did not have zero lot line zoning at the time on this parcel, and now they are in need of it.
Yes, because of the manner in which they're going to divide the property.
Yes. Yes.
You have to realize that this is all essentially built out now.
That's correct.
It's got small parcels, so it's not going to change what you see on the ground. But if you cut it up into separate parcels, then you'll have to have a zero lot line to comply with the ordinance.
Okay. Just want to make sure that was understood. Seeing no other, no one that would want to speak on behalf or against it, then we will close the public hearing. And if you all will come back on Monday night on items A and B, we will be prepared to take action. Thank you, sir. Moving on to item C. Hold a public hearing to consider a request for a variance to reduce the requirement for traffic study in section 3.03.07 of the zoning ordinance for a remaining requirement of no traffic study required for a lot of 0.5 acres at 6914 Springwood Drive, Land Lot 160, District 2, Section 5, Parcel 37, application by Gail Harden. You representing that application, sir?
I'm Jonathan Corona with Jacobs. I'm the interim zoning administrator for the time being, 6695 Church Street. The applicant isn't present tonight. She has submitted a letter to withdraw her application for this variance. Okay.
With that being said, then, it being a public hearing, and I apologize, sir, I don't know that I've had the opportunity to meet you, and I apologize. With that being said, and with the applicant requesting that that be withdrawn, is there any need then for us to go forward with the application at this time?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Hearing that, that the applicant for item C has sent in a letter to withdraw that application, then we'll take no action on that item at this time. Any question or comment? Okay. Moving on to item D. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for special land use permit for an accessory family daycare home, 1 to 6, for 0.5 acres at 6914 Springwood Drive, Land Lot 160, District 2, Section 5, parcel number 37, application by Gail Harden. Again,
Jonathan Corona, interim zoning administrator. The applicant also withdrew this application.
Okay. Then on item D, we will take no further action as the applicant has requested that that application be withdrawn. Thank you very much, sir. Moving on then to item E, hold a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from DCD Design Concept District to a base zone of CG General Commercial District and OD Office Distribution District to R6 Single Family Attached Apartment Residential District for 93.07 plus or minus acres at 0 Riverside Parkway, Land Lot 168, District 1, Section 5, parcel numbers 1 and 2. Application by New Manchester Resort and Golf, LLC. Applicant is here. Would you please come forward and identify yourself for the record? Thank you, Mayor. Members of council, I'm Doug Dillard with Dillard and Sellers, and Julie Sellers and I represent the applicant here. I'm Julie's mouthpiece tonight. She's got laryngitis, otherwise she'd be making the presentation. So bear with me if I'm not quite as sharp as Julie might be. We just got involved in this case. I talked to Joel about it a little bit earlier today. We're not sure we need this rezoning. This property was zoned DCD back in '04. And if you look at and we've briefed it with Michelle, if you look at the Manchester DCD permitted principal uses, which is Exhibit B under that zoning, one of the permitted uses under their code is multifamily dwellings. And that's what we're asking for. So we ask that this public hearing be held until your next regularly scheduled meeting, that it be deferred to a date certain, so that we could get with Michelle and Joel or Susan or whoever might be appropriate to determine whether or not we need to go forward with this zoning. We're of the opinion at this point that we don't need to go forward with it. So with that, we would like to ask that this be held. If council does not want to consider that, then we're prepared to go forward with the presentation tonight. But in the interest of time, I would think that it would be better to determine the deferral. If we can't get it worked out, then just as long as you defer it to a date certain, then you've satisfied your due process requirements relative to notice in public hearing. So we would like that. If that's not acceptable, then I'll reserve my remaining time to make my presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Dillard. Question of council? Have any question or comment at this time? I'm going to defer to, yes, Madam Mayor, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so Mr. Dillard, you're asking to be tabled for meetings of the 28th and 1st, or some opportunities?
Whenever you're next, whatever's appropriate for y'all. We think a couple of weeks would be enough time for us to find out whether we need to go forward with it. But it needs to be tabled to a date certain because you've advertised it.
Yes, sir.
So we would ask that you table it to a date certain tonight, and that would be fine with us, whatever's agreeable to council.
We'll have our legal, see if this is feasible for us to.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yes, ma'am, I would concur, Mr. Dillard. I've been given a zoning verification letter from the city concerning some of this property done back in June of 2015, and I concur with Mr. Dillard. It may be an allowable use. I don't know that Ms. Littlefield and I can make that determination by Monday. We're going to have to look at a couple of things. But
yes, sir.
At this point, having a hearing would, in my opinion, be premature.
You need 2 weeks or you need a month? What do you think?
In 2 weeks, I think we can determine whether or not it's permitted. But,
yes, sir.
That'll give us enough time to do that. So.
Okay, well, we'll defer to the chair. We'll just ask him just for opinion to see how long it may possibly take. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Miller.
If this is deferred back into zoning, does that mean that this development would not come back before council then? If it is judged to be?
If it's a permitted use, then there's no need to have anything rezoned or any special permits issued. He would file a development plan and draw building permits when his plan was approved.
So there'll be no discussion at the council level over the quality of the development, the impact of the development, or anything like that?
Well,
I would not mind having a little bit of that discussion now, if at all possible. Is there
would we not
objection to that?
Would it not come before this council as far as the development plan approval?
Well, yes, you're under your current ordinance. If he files a development plan, it'll come back for discussion at that time. But if it's an allowed use, you won't be simply allowed to say, no, you can't do it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Still being in the DCD, it would still be subject to any of those design restrictions within the DCD.
Right. There's some extensive conditions on that DCD now. I can't recite them to you verbatim, but it's.
Now, we don't just have the DCD zoning. There's also base zones within the DCD that allows for certain usages. So within that DCD, you have some areas that are light industrial, some that are office institutional, general commercial, residential. So to just look at DCD and say that apartments are an allowable use ignores all those base zones. So I think that's where you and Ms. Littlefield are going to have to look into all that.
Look at it and make sure that,
But I know we still have a lot of people here tonight who would like to weigh in on what they would like to see in this area. So if we still plan to table, I think they would still like to be heard.
I'll allow that. Any other question or comment with council before we go forward?
I guess I would sort of like a follow-up, and I don't want to put our staff on the spot, but is there a general notion that if it's resubmitted under this CDC, that that requires DC, sorry, dyslexic tonight, that would require a redesign of the complex, or is it? I know that's a little bit much. Maybe that's much to ask, but because like Mayor Pro Tem had mentioned, there's a lot of great concern in the community regarding the design of the complex, the character of it, the density, the quality, and so forth. So I would definitely be in agreement with letting folks have a chance to express their concerns on this.
if you want to hear their concerns, that'll be fine. Just understand this isn't a zoning hearing.
Correct.
You're going to table this. You're not
Understood.
circumventing the plaintiff's right to make out his case at the appropriate time.
Understood.
I guess then, Council, I would ask then if we're going to hold a public hearing on something that has already been requested to be tabled, then we would need to go through the entire process and allow both the applicant and those speaking for and or against then to be heard tonight, even though they have already requested that it be tabled. I'd like your guidance.
Well, my recommendation would be to table it. I realize there are people here, but you're not going to prejudice anybody's rights by tabling this application.
Okay. Any other question or comment?
I agree.
Okay. Madam Mayor, did you have something else you'd like to
The
say?
only thing I was thinking, remembering what Council Miller T. just mentioned, and also taking into consideration what Mayor Pro Tem said, that with the DCD, there are requirements there. So the final plat would come before this body so that we can review that. But there are recommendations and standards that are set with the DCD, design concept development, that this applicant would have to adhere to if they're part of their application, and what's already been rezoned in 2015 says that this land use is DCD, design concept development.
And I think in the essence of time, with all the other information that we still have to cover, I would suggest that we go forward with tabling this on Monday night, if that is the consent of the council to do that. I don't know that there's a reason why we need to go forward with information pro and con tonight.
The only other thing I would add is, I think that there's a consensus that I understand in the community that, obviously that they're seeking quality development. They want what's best for the city, what's best for the neighborhood. And it may be helpful to the applicants to at least hear what the community wants. And I'm advocating right this second, but at some point, like maybe Monday. Just, I'm giving advice that I think that it may be helpful to the applicants to hear what the community is looking for, rather than simply voice something on, say, here, this is what we're going to do, this is, we calculated out, this is the way we make our money, this is the way we're going to do it, and be done with it, and take it or leave it, and end up creating another situation where we have a big fight over. Why not, let's get together and, as a community, and talk it.
Would that not be handled at the time, if it is found that it is not in need of a rezoning, first of all? If it is found that all that the applicant has to do is provide a development plan, then would there not be a meeting where those individuals, pro and con, would be able to come and give their comments concerning that as we review and consider the development plan and its application?
Every opportunity helps.
Yes, so I totally understand.
Well, I've known Mr. Dillard for many years. He's had many community meetings with his clients, and I'm sure in this case he would not be adverse to having a meeting with any interested members of that community to explain and hear any comments about the development.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
There
Mr.
has
Mayor
already
Pro Tem.
been one meeting with the applicant and the community. You were there, I was there. But I don't think anybody would object to having another one if that was felt was necessary.
Not at all.
The other thing is, if we don't accept public comments at this time on this matter, we still have at the end of the agenda comments from citizens and delegates where we accept comments on any topic. So if anyone wants to stick around for that, they still have that option.
I mean, we would specifically honor that. We're not trying to not give everyone the opportunity to be heard, but as far as this particular applicant and this application proper, then I would see it proper that we would consider tabling it to the meetings of March 28th and April 1st, 2019. Is there any reason that we should not go forward and close the public hearing? Then I'll do that, and we will take this up again on Monday. Okay? Thank you all for your patience. Okay, let me find my place here. There's information overload, folks, and I apologize.
That was a lot.
Item F, hold a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from R2 Single Family Detached Residential District to IL Light Industrial District for 14.83 acres at 8145 Cedar Mountain Road, Land Lot 223, District 2, Section 5, Parcel 2, application by the City of Douglasville. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Jonathan Corona, Jacobs, Interim Zoning Administrator. Mr. Chairman, this item is on the agenda this evening to honor your request for transparency to the community. The new maintenance facility should be properly zoned IL Light Industrial. This property will be developed on 14 acres and be surrounded by 15 acres of buffer.
Thank you, sir. Questions, council, Madam Mayor, of the representative of our city for this application? Any? Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on behalf of the applicant concerning this or in opposition to this application? Please come forward. I don't see any others speaking in favor, so what about those that might be speaking in opposition to the application? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. We'll take this item up then on Monday night and move on to the next item. Item G, hold a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from R2 Single Family Detached Residential District to CG General Commercial District for .45 acres at 8252 Dallas Highway, Highway 92, Land Lot 17, District 1, Section 5, Parcel 22, application by Lewis E. Cobb. Is there someone here to represent the application tonight? Please come forward. Anyone here to represent this application for Mr. Lewis Cobb?
Jonathan Corona. Sir, this is just a bit of housekeeping. This business was operating for 30 years and was recently denied because they're zoned R2. And so when they were applying for their business license, it was just an error. So I believe it's a map error. It just needs to be corrected.
Okay, basically you're saying then that the applicant is requesting that we do a housekeeping issue to make the use of the property coincide with the proper zoning.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I was at the site today, and I know that it is a commercial use zoning that is there and has been there for many, many years.
Yes, sir.
I've eaten at the restaurant that's located there. Questions of council or Madam Mayor, any comment or question concerning the item? Is there anyone here that would speak on behalf or in favor of this applicant? Or is there anyone here that would speak in opposition to this rezoning item? Thank you, sir. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing on item G, come back on Monday night, and we will take action on that item. Moving on to item H, hold a public hearing and consider a request for a special land use permit for a family personal care home 2 to 6 for elderly care at 6234 Melrose Street, being .57 plus or minus acres in Land Lot 21, District 1, Section 5, Parcel D008, application by Luke Pollard.
It's Luke Pollock.
Pollock?
Yes.
And it is spelled correctly, and I've mispronounced it, Mr.
That's
Pollock.
fine.
I'm sorry.
That is perfectly fine. I have been a resident of Douglas
Pollock.
County.
Name and address for the record, please.
Luke Pollock, 6234 Melrose Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. Now, I have been a resident of Douglas County since 1973, when my family moved out here from Atlanta. And I have moved away a few times to go to school and to go and get further training. I am by profession a hospice chaplain. I work for Kindred Hospice, and I cover the West Georgia area, from basically the middle of Atlanta right now out to Tallapoosa. One of the reasons that I went from being a full-time minister in a church to being a hospice chaplain is I took care of my mother, who had Alzheimer's and COPD for the last 3 years of her life. I was able to leave her in her home in Winston, Georgia, because it happened that her illness happened in 2009 as the residential construction economy collapsed in Douglasville. And so I had the time, and so I was able to care for my mother there in that home. When she passed away, I wanted to go back into full-time ministry, so I went and trained at Emory University Hospital as a hospital chaplain. I left there and went to the University of Tennessee Medical Center in Knoxville, Tennessee, and was a hospital chaplain there. Then I went to Baltimore, Maryland, where I was a pediatric chaplain at Johns Hopkins Hospital. But then I got very homesick, so I came back to Douglasville. I've been a hospice chaplain now for 3 years. In my work as a hospice chaplain, I visit elderly patients, and I visit elderly patients in the facilities here in Douglas County, in the Douglasville Nursing and Rehab Center, where they try very hard to take good care of their patients. However, I did not want to have to put my mother there in the Douglasville Nursing and Rehab Center, and I know a lot of other people wouldn't want to put their mother or father there in the Douglasville Nursing and Rehab Center. And so what I do in my visits, I also visit something that I didn't even know existed, and it's called a personal care home. All it is a home where they get a state license from the state of Georgia. That's a very complicated license to get, and I have, there is a summary of the requirements for the license in your packet. The summary is, I believe, 40 to 60 pages long. The fuller version that I have, that I'm gonna have to follow if I have approval, is 111 pages long. And it gives very strict and very detailed guidelines on how to open this. But basically, it's just a personal home where elderly people can come and live and have someone watching them 24 hours a day so that they won't burn down their house, or if they fall, there will be someone there to help them up. And it will be a place where they will have help with their daily needs of living, if they need some extra help taking a shower or eating. Now, in Douglasville, at present, there is not a single personal care home. I also have attached or given in your packet, there's this little booklet, and it's called New Lifestyles. And it's a little booklet, and in it has several pages of personal care homes in the metro Atlanta area. Douglasville itself has no personal care homes. There are 10 listed in this booklet in Douglas County, but 2 of those have closed. So in total, there are 42 beds available for elderly people to live and be watched and cared for in a residential, just a personal home setting. Now, in contrast, in Marietta, the city of Marietta has 54 of these personal care homes. They have 206 beds available, and there are none here in Douglasville. So I'm just asking, I have also included in the packet some pictures of what the personal care homes in Douglas County look like. And these were taken at various times of the day, and if you look at these pictures, you will see that they are just regular, normal houses that I'm fairly convinced that people around these houses don't even know that there are a few elderly people living in those houses. Now, when I went before the zoning board, there were some concerns expressed. Traffic was one of them. Well, it's going to be a residential home for elderly that do not drive. None of these elderly patients will have a car. They will live there in my home. Now, there will be one employee or perhaps 2 during the day, and so there might be 1 or 2 cars in my driveway. Another issue that was brought up was the noise issue, and there was concern that ambulance noise might be a problem. My neighborhood, if you look on a map, it is right behind Gable Sporting Goods, 1 block off of Fairburn Road, and it is immediately behind the Douglasville Gold's Gym on Hospital Drive. You can see from my door in my kitchen, you can see the dome of our courthouse. If there are some ambulance noises because we live that close to Fairburn Road and that close to Hospital Drive. Now, I do not deny that there may be an occasional emergency vehicle that would need to come to my house, but my neighborhood is many elderly people, and those come into my neighborhood already. So I would just ask the mayor and the council, if they would, to approve a personal care home here in the city limits of Douglasville to help take care of our elderly residents.
Thank you, Mr. Luke. Mr. Pollock, I'm sorry. Anyone have question or comment of the applicant before we ask for other comment outside? Yes, Mr. Miller, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Ms. Danley, you go ahead first.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your passion and caring for the elderly. I do understand my father had dementia as well. Just a couple of questions. Will you have other staff working in the home with you?
Yes, I will make sure that they are watched 24 hours a day. That's part of the state guidelines.
Right.
So someone will be awake. I will have a CNA that will be there in the daytime, and then I may bring someone in to help cook some meals, and then there will be a CNA there in the evening and overnight.
And I'm assuming you've already worked with the fire department to see how many residents you can have in your home?
Yes, most counties in the state of Georgia in a residential area, the maximum number is 6. And so I'm asking for they're 2 to 6 people. And so, but to be in a commercial personal care home, it has to be in a commercially zoned area, and they could have 15 up to 60 patients. But I want it to be a home, not a facility. I don't know if you've experienced having to put your parents somewhere, but most of them don't want to be put in a facility. But this would just be a beautiful home for them to come and live in and have a few roommates, and that's.
And my last question is this private pay, or will you have the ability to bill insurance?
This will be private pay.
All right, I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Pollock, I truly appreciate what you're about to do here. My father, who was a veteran of World War II, when he became incapacitated, was first in the VA hospital, which gave him terrible care. And so my mother actually took him into our home, and for the last 2 years of his life, literally was his nurse and took care of him. So I definitely appreciate what you're doing there from a personal standpoint. Also, I'm actually in the process of designing a personal care home for a client. Okay. So I know fairly well the regulations that you're under, and so I can appreciate that as long as you're following those, that you should have a fairly professional and professionally run facility. So as long as you cross the T's and dot the I's.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else? I had a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pollock, I was at the location this afternoon.
Yes.
In preparation for this meeting, and I'm concerned, not necessarily for traffic as much for parking as anything. You will be the resident, you will live in the home in addition to have these people potentially live there with you. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes, sir.
This is your personal primary residence?
My personal primary home,
Okay.
and I will continue to live there. Now, if it's approved, and I will create a parking pad, and ultimately I would love to do a horseshoe driveway, just so that there would be plenty of off-street parking, and that would be help the situation.
Okay. Couple of questions. How large is that home?
It's about 1,500 square feet upstairs, and it's got a full basement that's 1,500 square feet.
The basement is finished?
It's 40% finished as of now. It's got a bathroom and a fireplace and a big multi-purpose room down there. Now, my plan, if approved, then I will build in the garage so that I will have a little more room upstairs, and I will do a roll-in shower so that they could roll in a wheelchair, and a CNA could help take care of the person very well there.
So what are the state requirements in order to have 6 there? How many bedrooms would you have to have?
The state requirements are that you have to have 80 square feet of bedroom space per resident. And when I finished, now you can have 2 residents in 1 bedroom, but it must be 160 square feet.
Sure.
If I finish the garage as I plan, it will have 5 bedrooms upstairs, and 2 of those bedrooms would be big enough to have 2 people. So a husband and wife could stay in a room together that way, but I could only have a maximum of 6 residents. My plan is to live in the downstairs of the house.
Okay, is there individual septic system, or is it on sewer?
It is on city sewer.
And right now, there are how many baths?
Right now, there are 3 baths.
There's 3 at present, and you are anticipating?
I will do away with a little tiny bathroom that is actually a full bath. It's got a shower, but I'll do away with that because I'm going to add a bigger bathroom with a roll-in shower.
Okay.
So it will still be 3 bathrooms.
Okay. Okay.
Chairman?
Yes, Coach.
As I was listening, a question came into my mind about some of the potential folks that would be living there, and the use of stairs. If they're at that point, you have a resident that's living upstairs and then they can't use the stairs anymore for whatever reason, a fall or whatever, what contingency?
The house is actually a level ranch home, and they'll be living on the main level, and it's a stepless ranch. There are no steps to go in or out of the house. There's a step into it about that high, and I'll do a ramp there. I will be the only one needing to use the stairs because I will be in the basement, but it will be a finished basement. I mean, it's 40% finished now.
Thank you.
So I guess my concern would be, and I'm assuming that this would be handled on the state level, you'd be required to make sure that the restrooms were handicap accessible, ADA,
Yes,
so
sir.
forth, and that roll-in shower would help to create that
That's exactly
situation, right? And you
yes,
mentioned
sir. Yes,
that
sir. The existing main bathroom, I will move a vanity. It's got a real long vanity in it right now, and I'll put a short vanity in it, and then there'll be enough room for a wheelchair in that one as well. And yes, there will be bars put in. And the state does come and do an inspection. I will have to have an electrician do an inspection. I will have to have the state come and do an inspection before they will sign off and give me that license to.
All right. Anyone else?
I do have another question. Do you currently have your application in with the state?
No, I did not. I wanted to take one step at a time, and there's a fee and I didn't want to pay that fee if the city wouldn't allow me to do it.
Yeah. So my concern is if you're not simultaneously doing this with the state, and some personal care homes do that, it's like child care centers, is that if it's approved, and then if you're approved by the state, then we have no other knowledge to know whether you're approved or not. We're just doing the groundwork first.
I will have to get a business license with the city of Douglasville if I'm approved to open up.
Right.
And so that would be, I mean, you would know that way, but, and I would be happy to inform the city council if I am approved.
So, and I'm assuming you're going through the Department of Aging?
It's the Department of Health it's the Department of Community Health is the department that would be granted through.
All right. No other comments?
And one other thing that I know there was some concern that this is going to change the zoning of my house, and that's not going to be the case. I mean, it'll still be residential, and this type of license that the state gives for a personal care home is the owner and the property together have to stay together. If I move, then it will no longer be a personal care home, and if I were to sell it later, I can't sell it as a personal care home. I have to sell it as a single-family residence because that's what it's really zoned as.
Sure. Okay. Is that all?
That's all.
Okay. Is there anyone else here that would speak on this applicant in support of the application? Come forward, sir. Give us your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My name is David Mitchell. I reside at 6286 Cooper Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. This is actually my first time visiting Mayor Robinson and Councilman. I'm so glad to be here. It's taken a lot for me to be here. I spoke to you, Mr. Siegel, and you called me back, and I finally made it. I wasn't actually ready to even speak because I wanted to learn how to be able to present something that I have on my mind that I believe is very important for the city of Douglasville and for it to thrive. Mr. Pollock, his dream is it's awesome. I have a BSN in nursing, and I have a doctorate in physics, and so I've taken care of personal care in-home. A gentleman, Mr. Tate, for 13 years, and my integrity is 100%. And my mother, my father died of Alzheimer's, aggressive, and my grandmother also had Alzheimer's for almost 10 years. For him to develop something like that there's not much for elders, and they're what brought us what we have here today. And as well as what I'm trying to do for where I live, because there are elements to identify and resolve for a better Douglasville. I think there's a lot of civil duty that I have not seen, and it doesn't exist in other jurisdictions. So I would love to be a part of his pursuit in this personal care. Because there is improper care in nursing homes. I've seen it, I've worked in them, and as well as other personal care. I've left the medical field to study law because of the experiences that I've endured as a challenged person. When I became with a favorable decision by the administrative courts in 2014, I don't look like I have challenges, but the experiences that I have socioeconomically have been very traumatic, and also has increased elements. So you don't want to see that in elders. To see somebody like that having anomalies that should not be there, I have zero tolerance for. And I think what he is trying to pursue, oh gosh, I look forward to seeing it. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Anyone else that would speak on behalf of this application in support? Seeing none, is there anyone here that would speak in opposition to the application? If so, please come forward. Give us your name and address for the record, and we would love to hear from you.
Let the lady go first.
My name is Elizabeth Altwise. I live at 6225 Melrose Drive. I live across the street from this residence. There are a lot of concerns. The neighborhood was built as a single dwelling, single residence, not a business, which a personal care home is a business. I mean, he's getting paid to take care of these people. And what he's doing is awesome. You know, I would have loved to have had a place like this for my dad, but I don't think this location is suitable for that. You were talking about parking, and if you went by there today, you saw 3 cars, 1 car in the garage, 1 car parked in the lawn, the other car parked in the lawn on the other side. The driveway is very short. If he puts a big circle in front of it, it's going to, you know, go against what the look of the house is and what the residents, you know, look like, what the other residents in the area look like. I know that the having traffic and having all these people there, and it's going to be a lot more cars. It is going to be a lot more traffic. And I know at one time he said he wanted to have, you know, family dinners and, you know, all that stuff. Well, where are those people going to park? You know, and we do have children on the street and stuff like that. So the excess traffic is going to be. And our other concern is, yeah, he's got this, going to get this zoned or get it land use, whatever. And we have no idea what it's going to look like. We have no idea what the patients are going to be. I mean, are they going to? I know they're going to be physically, mentally challenged. You know, he's got 1 person to take care of 6. You know, are they going to be, he said they were going to be ambulatory. They're going to walk around outside. Who's going to take care of them? Who's going to watch them? Somebody with Alzheimer's, you have to watch them all the time, you know, because you don't know what, you know, it's a smaller house, and he is going to have 1 person there, but, you know, that is a concern for us. I know he's on sewage, so that will help. There's just a lot of unknowns that we don't, you know, we're interested in finding out exactly what's going to happen, how many people are going to be there, what the state is, you know, what kind of condition they're going to be in. I have you know, we have no idea about that. And they did talk about if this land use goes through, can another home up the street have one? Someone said 1,000 feet. How far is 1,000 feet? 1 house? You know, so there could be several on that street if we had other people that wanted to have, you know, care homes in that area. It's a small house, small little houses in there. You know, it's a nice little quiet subdivision, and we just wanted to keep it a single-family residence. Any questions?
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else that would speak in opposition to this application?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Steve Woodman. My mother and brother live at 6263 Melrose Street or Drive. It's listed differently in different places.
Yes,
I personally take care of 4 senior or disabled people. 1 of them lives in my home. The other 2 live together in another home. But so I do have a heart for this ministry, for people who want to help seniors and take care of them. Someone needs to do it, has got to do it, or they will be neglected and suffer. However, I would echo what the lady before me said. This is not the place. This is not the proper place. If the owner of the home, you know, if it has this calling to have this ministry, he could buy a home on a busy street somewhere. Even it doesn't have to be zoned commercial and be more expensive. There are plenty of single-family zoned dwellings all over the town, all over the county that are on busy streets, busy thoroughfares, even Fairburn Road 92 or the road coming into town from east, west, north, and south. These people will have to get out and walk and exercise. They will be walking in the streets. There are no sidewalks. That will be a danger and a hazard. 6 people, not related, they're not family members, living together. Their relatives will be coming to see them and visit them. I know from experience, they make a lot of calls to 911, and the fire truck, the ambulance, and the police come and answer those calls. It's going to be very busy. So I would just ask you, how would you like to have this next door to you? Is this what you would want living next door to you. Even though it is a valuable service, is it the right place? You buy a home in a single-family, quiet residential neighborhood, and then this comes, and you say, well, in my mind, I'll only vote for one of these per neighborhood. But the law would prevent you from doing that. You would have to allow more. The courts would overrule you if you turn down others in the future. So please consider that, and good zoning makes for a good city, makes for a good organized city. It makes your city more attractive and want others to move in and keep their homes and their yards nice and neat. Whereas when you have haphazard and spot zoning, it's very disheartening, and people would just give up and try to sell or open up a business themselves. So please keep that in mind. Thank you for hearing from us.
Others that would like to speak in opposition to this application? Please come forward, give us your name and address for the record.
My name is Talmadge Woodman, and I live in Moneta Drive in Kennesaw now. I've owned a house at 6263 Melrose Drive for 40 years. I lived there for many years, but now my son lives there with his mother. And Melrose Drive has always been a nice, quiet street with just single-family homes, and we asked you to keep it that way. This is a worthy project, but it's asked to be put in the wrong place. It's going to increase traffic, increase noise, going to have ambulance, police, fire trucks, emergency equipment come in there. So it's going to ruin a nice, quiet, single-family neighborhood. So we asked you to uphold the ruling of the zoning board, which turned it down, and to also turn it down tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes. Would you give us your name again, please?
Talmadge Woodman.
Woodman.
Yes.
Talmadge Woodman. Anyone else that would like to speak in opposition to the application, please come forward. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your comments. Come forward, sir. How are you tonight?
Fine. How you doing, Mr. Adams?
Good.
My name's John Brown. I live at 6273 Melrose Street, Douglasville, Georgia. Mayor, council. I'm just opposed this because I just simply don't know nothing about it. This is a small neighborhood. We just don't have room for that. We barely have the room what we have. Just the traffic, what traffic we have, it's a burden on just our kids riding their bicycles through the neighborhood. We really have to watch it. Parents have to stare at our kids because my kids are bicycle riders. We're all in that spot all over the neighborhood all the time. So I oppose this because I feel like it was kind of crammed down our throat and there's just not enough room.
Mr. Brown, just for the record, where do you reside in relation to this property? You are before you make the right-hand turn on the left.
When you make that curve right, I live right there in that curve. That's my spot right
Yes,
there on
that's
the
what I
left.
thought.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's what I need to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all for hearing me.
Appreciate your comments. Anyone else? Please come forward. Right now, we're speaking for opposition, sir. No. Not at this meeting. Sir, please come forward to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. And we'll...
Gary Woodman, 6263 Melrose Street. I have a petition of 21, 22 homeowners who are opposed that live around where the small elderly care center will be. My fellow speakers, they've touched on a lot of issues. One issue they hadn't, the roads in there are narrow. Elderly do walk their dogs, and kids do play and ride bikes. And the roads need to be widened, and there's some real bad potholes. Right around the curve, a car flipped over about a month ago. It went off the road and into one of these holes, and then there's another hole down there. And big vehicles coming around, you know, if they hit them holes and children are out there, someone could get hurt. It's not paved for a for a commercial business. It's been single family for years. I walk my dog, and it's fairly quiet. We get the traffic from Fairburn Road. We get a lot of ambulances, and you know, you hear that because the hospital's 1 or 2 miles away, and so that's sort of a nuisance too. But when you have 6 people in one little residential home, you need more than 1 or 2 people. They can fall, they can, plus you're going to have medicines being delivered. You're going to have visitors coming. The emergencies can, a 24-hour business operation. You're going to have vehicles coming up and down that road. At any time, an elderly person, you know, if their mind's bad, God bless them, they can, you know, if they have the medical alert on them, they could hit it. They could hit it at any time. While one person's in one room, the other 5, you know, you got to have people watching 24/7. You can't, I don't think 1 or 2 people are going to be able to watch 6 people. And, but the homeowners, they want to retain the peace and quietness and tranquility of their neighborhood. They want the children to be able to play safe and ride their bicycles. And let's see. And then they'll keep the noise to a minimum. And I'm a licensed minister also, and I have a degree in psychology and a degree in law, and I can respect the work done in the ministry.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Wood.
think these people do need,
Would
you
you,
know, but I just don't think it should be our neighborhood.
I'm sorry, sir.
All right, thank you.
Would you, if you would like for us to see that petition, if you just
Yeah,
give it to the clerk,
Okay.
they can distribute copies of
Okay,
that to
well.
us. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I was going to ask about the petition. Mr. Gregg, did you hear where the pothole was? Is the
It's there.
Woodman, is his last name?
It's there.
Okay.
We'll handle it.
Okay, thank you. Makes it pothole.
Anyone else to speak concerning this application in opposition? Have we exceeded our total time allowed? Okay. Seeing then that we have no other to speak in opposition, I'll close the public hearing for tonight. If you all would like to come back on Monday night, we will take action on this item. That's item H. We have 2 more.
Any
It
discussion?
can be the same discussion so long, please, as you bring new information. We do not need to hear the same information again. If there's new information to be presented, that's the reason we'll have another public hearing prior to our action. Okay, thank you, folks. Appreciate you. Okay, item J. Authorize the mayor to sign a task order with Jacobs Engineering Group Incorporated, amending the parties' agreement of August 24th, 2017 to add an additional scope of work for staff augmentation and completion of the draft Unified Development Code ordinance. Ms. Patrice
evening.
Williams is here with us, and she's going to help us with that. Go ahead, Patrice.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
I'm Patrice Williams, Community Development Director, 6701 Church Street. The item before you basically extends our time with Jacobs. They'll be continuing to help us draft the UDO.
This is brought forth as a need as far as staffing and as far as
Correct.
help within the office for.
Right. As we transition in our efforts to hire a new zoning administrator, Jacobs will be stepping up to help us.
Okay. Temporary basis until we have found that perfect person.
Correct.
Okay. Any question or comment of council? Yes, Ms. Hampton.
Only thing I want to add to Mayor and Council, the cost for this proposal will be taken out of the Internal Department and Community Development from the salaries line item, so you will be able to afford the funding. You will see that on your next budget amendment.
Okay, thank you for that information. Any question or comment? Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll take that up then on Monday night. Thank you very much, Ms. Williams. We'll go on to item K. Last one, I promise.
Ooh.
Refer to the zoning board a proposed ordinance to adopt a new zoning map and a new unified development ordinance, repealing the current zoning map and repealing the current zoning ordinance and development ordinance. I know that we had discussion on this a couple of weeks ago, and give us an update on it, Ms. Williams.
Okay, Patrice Williams, Community Development Director, 6701 Church Street. Basically, we are referring the new code to the zoning board, and they'll review it, and then they'll refer it back to you.
And we are now prepared to do that as of Monday night, should we vote to do that. Is that correct?
We've attached a document, the draft, for your review.
Question, comments? Council, Madam Mayor? Public comment? Seeing none, we'll take that up on Monday night. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Madam Mayor, that's all that we have tonight.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. You did a wonderful job. I know that was a lot for you to read. Thank you for taking us through that agenda. So we'll go on to item 8, which is Parks and Recreation Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight under Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to Finance Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
No business tonight under Finance, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir. Move on to Information and Technology Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilman Adams monopolized our entire meeting tonight.
You didn't want to share, huh?
We have no business under Information Technology. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Thank you. We'll move on now to Maintenance and Sanitation Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business in Maintenance and Sanitation tonight.
Thank you, sir. Transportation Committee, Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Danley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I have several items. The first item is to authorize the mayor to sign a construction contract with a construction company, LLC, for the lighting and banners Phase 2 curb and gutter project. We discussed this in our committee meeting, and we have not made a decision in regards to who the contractor will be. Ms. Wright, do you have any comments?
Thank you. Chairwoman Michelle Wright, Planning Manager, 6701 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia. I can answer any additional questions. I will be loading the bids for your Monday night meeting, and if there's any additional questions, I can take them at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Do you have any questions? Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just was bringing to the information for citizens who weren't able to attend the committee meeting. I know we do have 4 bids, and we were thinking about the lowest bidder, but I just wanted to see the scope of work and to see, since there were 2 bids that were very close to each other, and one was pretty far away, almost 70,000 or 100,000. I just wanted to kind of see what the bid consisted of, so that we can make our decision.
Most definitely, and thank you, Madam Mayor. And as Ms. Wright has stated, you will have those uploaded all of the bids loaded, so that we can look at and compare.
That is correct.
Okay. Are there any other comments or questions? Okay. The second item is to authorize the mayor to sign an amendment with AECOM Technical Services Incorporated for Task Order 11 to address the existing erosion conditions.
Yes, ma'am. The gateway project that you have at Fairburn Road and I-20, through the design process, we noticed there were some erosion issues that we have to address, and we need to incorporate that in the design plan. So this task order and this amendment will allow us to do that. And of course, these funds will be expended from your Transportation SPLOST program.
Great. I was going to ask what was the fund. Thank you, Ms. Wright. I'm sorry. Thank you, Ms. Hampton. So I'd like to add this to the consent agenda, if that's okay with Mayor and Council.
I just had a quick question. When are we going to see some dirt moving, Madam City Manager? Just some, some action.
As soon as we get the plans, we have to turn that in to GDOT to get our permit, so we can have access to do work in their area. So as soon as GDOT gives us the go-ahead, we will look to get our notice to proceed.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hampton. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The third item is to adopt a resolution abandoning a portion of Connolly Drive as surplus right-of-way and authorizing the mayor to sign an option agreement with Sahans Holdings, LLC, to sell it to the adjacent landowner.
Hi. Patrice Williams, the Community Development Director, 6701 Church Street. So this item is simply, it allows the mayor to enter a contract agreement with Sonny Holdings for the abandoned portion of Conley Road. We agreed to accept the $35,000 offer.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Are there any comments or questions? Yes. Mr. Watts, Councilman Watts.
So I only heard part of that. So they accepted our offer?
We accepted their offer of $35,000.
Right. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Thank you. That's all.
All right. Did that make sense, Councilman Watts? Yes. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I'd like to also add that to our consent agenda. And the last item under transportation, authorize the mayor to sign task order number 19 with AECOM Technical Services Incorporated, amending the parties' professional service agreement of August 26, 2015 to add a scope of work for grading and erosion control design services for the Georgia Highway 92 Interstate Highway 20 interchange.
And Madam Chair, I'm going to ask you to disregard your consent agenda for item B. Actually, when we were composing the items to make certain that we had the correct task number and that we were combining what was happening, essentially item B and D are the same. So the one that will be kept on Monday night will actually be item D.
Okay. So we will keep item D. All right, any questions or comments? If there aren't any, we have no other items under transportation, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairman. We'll move on to Personnel and Organization Committee. That's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have one item.
Well,
That's to approve travel and training expenses for Councilman Terry Miller to attend the May 15th through 18th, 2019 LINK program for the Pittsburgh region, sponsored by the Atlanta Regional Commission, with funds for these expenses to come from Councilman Miller's training budget.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. The mayor has requested that Councilman Miller attend this trip on her behalf. Therefore, we put an item on the agenda for you all to consider. My assumption is you don't need a 5 o'clock meeting for discussion. But if you do, we can add it on for Monday night if you need further discussion before you vote.
Of course, our ordinance lists certain types of travel and training that are already pre-approved and don't have to come before the council. Any other travel outside of that, but our policy is to come before us. Does Mr. Miller want to add any information?
I am at the mercy of the council to decide if they wish to send me to Pittsburgh for this conference.
Madam Mayor.
yes, sir, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I thought it was coming out of my budget since I was asking him to go. I don't want to expend all of his resources for GMA. I have a larger
That's what
budget. I
actually-
did
that
not attend DC this year for the
Was
mayor's
my understanding
conference.
too, so I don't know how it got.
Yeah,
We
we
will
did
have
take
to
it out
do-
of my budget.
We will have to do that as a part of a budget amendment. We can do either, but we can change the language to remove that portion out of it for Monday night, or we can add the language that we would apply a budget amendment for you all to vote on for Monday.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, the reason why I cannot attend is because we didn't have that information, but it's the senior picnic. And this year, the seniors were having their picnic at the conference center. We're hosting them. And I just didn't want them to come to the city of Douglasville, to our facility, and me not greet them. So I appreciate you turning your schedule around and acquiescing and deciding to go for me, Councilman Miller. But yes, if we can, please see if we can take it out of my budget. I have more resources. I don't want to, again, put you in a tight position where you don't have enough money to attend the annual conference in June.
I think it's admirable for the mayor to want to stay here and meet with our community instead of traipsing off with the ARC to the northeast.
Especially since I'm the vice
Adams.
chair of ARC.
Thank you,
and I'm
thank
not
you.
meeting.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'm not familiar with the LINK program, so is there a way that on Monday night, as far as prior to a vote, we could have some information provided to us as to what that is all about, for lack of a better term?
Yes, sir. And each year, the Atlanta Regional Commission, with those 8 communities that are part of the Atlanta Regional Commission, the counties are Douglas, Fulton, Cobb, DeKalb, Fayetteville, and Gwinnett, or something like that. But at any rate, we go to a different community each year and look at how they're doing in their area to kind of compare to Atlanta. And for Pittsburgh, the ARC, the mayors and commissioners are going to see about transportation, because Pittsburgh now has autonomous cars at their airport, and they're doing a lot to get people around their city. So we have this ATL link and a lot of transportation issues. So they're going to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to study their transportation. But I'll bring more of the copy of all that information
I
and
just
have it
think
distributed.
from a means of transparency for our citizens, we just like for them to know.
So we link up with another part of the
Gotcha.
country and see how they're doing issues.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Any other comments or questions from Mayor and Council? All right, that's all I have, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We'll move on to Ordinance and Intergovernmental Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Danley.
No business tonight, Madam Mayor, under Ordinances and Intergovernmental Committee. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, ma'am. Education and Training Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
Yes, ma'am. I have one item. Adopt an ordinance amending Section 2-50 of the Administration Ordinance to revise the list of pre-approved events for travel and training for elected officials and clarify the regulations for lodging expense. And we had a good pre-meeting at 5 o'clock.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. This is just to allow you all to participate in Douglas County Chamber of Commerce activities, whether they are local or whether they are linked trips like the Atlanta Regional Commission is participating in, which would also cover your luncheons as well as the Chamber of Commerce annual banquet and other activities that they hold throughout the year.
Yes, ma'am. I think that'd be very nice. And Madam Mayor, if no one got anything to say, I'd like to put this on the consent agenda for our Monday night, please.
Sir?
All I have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on now to our last committee report, which is Communications Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no items under Communications Committee tonight.
Thank you so much, Councilman Miller. T, did you see your son in the paper the other day for the IB pinning ceremony? Did you see Mr. Isaac in the paper?
No, I did not see that.
Oh, okay. I have a copy for you.
Okay.
All right. That was off the subject, but anyway. Other business, is there any other business to come before the council this evening from council members? Okay, not seeing any. We'll move on to item 18, City Attorney, Mr. Joel Dotson.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Colonel Dotson. Chief Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Littlefield, isn't here this evening. You have anything for her, City Manager?
Just to feel better.
No, I'm sad she's not feeling well. We'll have to wish her better. Police Chief, that is not the chief, that is Captain Weaver.
Yes, ma'am. Nothing from the police department, ma'am.
Yes, sir, but the chief is at Hollis Street at that,
Yes, ma'am.
our community meeting at that police precinct, so we appreciate him being connected with the community, although it conflicted with this time of city council meeting, but we appreciate you being here, Captain Weaver. You're welcome. City Manager, Ms. Hampton.
The only thing, just to remind you all in the viewing audience that we will have announcements posted on the slideshow. We had some earlier. We will have them at the end, and you all have a paper copy at your desk. So if there are any questions about any of the upcoming activities, Mr. Sarowitz is in the audience, and he will be happy to make any announcements that you would like.
I have a question about
Yes,
that
sir.
new process. Will people who watch the video in the comfort of their own homes be able to see that information?
Our communications, or I should say, community relations staff is saying yes.
I see Aaron's head bobbing up and down there, so thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, City Manager. We'll move on now to comments from citizens and delegates. If you have endured the meeting and you'd like to address us, we'd love to hear from you. Please come forward and give us your name and address for the record after you've given your card to Ms. Vicky. And you have 5 minutes and any topic you want to talk about.
Good evening,
So
Madam
welcome.
Mayor,
Good
Council.
evening.
My name is Kevin McGuire, 3252 Bakewell Street. I am the resident HOA representative for Tributary at New Manchester.
Yes, sir.
Earlier in the meeting, I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but I was going to speak in favor of the rezoning that Mr. Ron Orr, his application, as long as the DCD was in place. So I'm not sure. I did speak with him on Friday afternoon, and I told him as such, and I said it's about, the residents are split 50-50 on this. Some prefer a warehouse and others prefer apartments as long as the DCD is in place.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if the DC, if they're going to keep it, if we do find, or the city finds that under the current zoning, multifamily dwelling is allowed,
Mm-hmm.
and as long as the DCD is in place, for me personally, I think that's going to be fine. I know there's a lot of other people there in favor of it as well. So
Okay.
that's what I'd like to say. I also like to say, hey, Patrice.
Thank you,
hey,
Mr.
Michelle. Long
McGuire.
time no see. Good to see you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McGuire. Is Mr. Sisk?
Yes, thank you. Philip Sisk, 9905 Ardwick Greenway, Douglasville. I have two comments. First, has there been any consideration in Douglasville getting a new logo? Because of the great work that y'all have been doing, I feel like Douglasville is so much more progressive now, and our logo does not reflect our city anymore.
Mr. Sisk, if I could interrupt you, when you're done with this meeting, please go out onto Church Street, right in front of O'Neill Plaza, and look at what's painted in the intersection. That's our new logo.
We have a new
Well,
logo.
I thought it was, but it's not up there.
This is the Great Seal of the city of Douglasville, which the Great Seal is a legal device that does not change.
The logo is right here on Mr.
It's right here, and it's out there in the street.
I thought there was a new logo.
Yes, sir.
And I can give you one of my business cards. It's on there as well.
So I know where you live.
Do you have any of my mail that you can bring over?
And so,
yes, sir.
I'm pleased with that. I just don't think a dead tree represents Douglasville very well anymore. Yeah, anyway, but that's not really what I'm here. I'm here to speak on the same thing that Kevin spoke about. First of all, Mr. Orr has met with us on 2 different occasions as if he cared about what he put by where we live. And he has promised 2 traffic studies, and I've not seen evidence of either one. I'm not surprised that this was withdrawn tonight, because I can't say that he's dishonest, but a lot of people have told me that. And so I'm not saying that. I think he just tries to slide things through at times. So I would advise the city council to be wary of actions that he takes, because I don't believe he was sincere when he met with us.
Well, Mr. Sisk, we don't want to do a personal
sorry,
attack,
I'm sorry.
so just tell me about just say
sorry.
the
Thank you.
application, but not
Thank
the
you. I'm
person's
sorry.
name.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
I'm sorry. I didn't. I should not have said that. I withdraw that part.
Okay.
And you know, I came to support the rezoning if it was under DCD.
Yes,
He
sir.
said all the time he's going to build them above the DCD standards. So why shouldn't he be held to the DCD standards if he's going to build them above the DCD standards? And I know even if it goes through without rezoning, the plans would still have to come before you, I believe. So,
Yes, sir.
you know, I would like to just ask for your help with that.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Sisk.
thank you, and thanks for all y'all do. Really,
We appreciate
don't get
you
paid
serving
enough.
on the City Development Authority
Thank you,
as well.
Mr. Sisk.
Good evening, Council.
Good
My
evening.
name is Aaliyah Roberts, and I reside at 3219 Blackley Old, Douglasville, Georgia. That's in the tributary neighborhood, and I stuck around this long, so I'm going to go ahead and speak. I want to echo the sentiments that both Kevin and Phil said, that a lot of residents in the neighborhood are torn 50-50. I'm of the opinion that Riverside Parkway is at a tipping point. If we go the direction of allowing another distribution center, it's going to be almost impossible for us to garner the business of restaurants and retail that we so desperately want. So I want to just kind of emphasize that I support rezoning or allowing apartments to go in this property. My big concern was maintenance of it under the DCD. So as long as that stays in place, my support is for allowing them to build the apartments at that location. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other comments from citizens and delegates? Yes, sir.
I'm Kelvin Harris, once again.
Yes, sir.
6637 Copper Court, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. I have great concerns about Hunter Park. We spent $22 million on that park. That's a beautiful park. But I have a problem that we moving the event, that event helped kids to have a playground, which is Wine Down Wednesday. It's been moved back downtown. We have a problem with parking downtown as it is now. With Gumbo, the street is full. Now, we moved the event back there. It's a great concern to a taxpayer because we spent $22 million. And I think the park should be used. Myself, I have grandkids. I took them to Wine Down Wednesday and let them run around the park to see a different view, because like I state again, I live on the other side of the track. New Horizon, it's been renamed. I've been out here 20 years. I do a lot of volunteer work on both sides of the track. But that side of the track have been neglected for so long, and we have had enough. And I promise you, each and every one of you, we want the same respect that Chapel Hill get, Highway 5 get. And I'm going to reiterate what I said again as far as the car lot. I haven't seen the car lot on Chapel Hill yet. I haven't seen the car lot on Highway 5 yet. And I'm here again to ask you all, do not bring a car lot across that street, a railroad, because the other people, which is New Horizon, it's a new day. We all pay tax, and we want respect. I say it all the time, it's about them kids. And if y'all don't know, because I have not seen any of y'all, but a couple of, we produce champions at that park. Real champions, but it's hard work. It's a lot of hours that we volunteer, but we don't get the support that we should get. But we always send y'all invitations. We don't never get a reply. And that's all I would like to say.
All right. So, Mr. Harris, if you don't mind staying, I just wanted to, like I said before, it's not debate, but I just want to address the Wind Down Wednesday issue as far as the park is concerned. I did receive a request from one of the citizens, and I responded to him, and so I don't know if he shared that with you or not, but we did have public meetings about Wind Down Wednesday at our retreat, but it was moved from the square. It originally was at the square.
Yes, ma'am.
And so it was moved from the square because we had renovations on the square, and we didn't want to stop the concert series because it's so successful. And so we moved it to Hunter Park temporarily until the square was completed. Now the square is completed, so we're going to move it back. That's the intent the entire time. We did have some concerns because we had to rent a stage, which really put the city at a deficit. We already have a stage on the square, but we had to rent a stage to put at the park. So that's one of the issues. The other issue is parking. We have a parking deck that we paid all this money for, and on a Wednesday, it's not the same capacity that it would be, for a Gumbo's on a Saturday or Friday or Saturday. So there's ample parking in the parking deck. We have a facility with a stage already here in the downtown area, and we're taking that successful concert series away from Hunter Park, where there are neighbors there renting the stage and having to find parking over at the school system. So those are some of the issues, but it originally was not, we took it away, and it was never intended to stay there. It was just there temporarily. And of course, when we have the amphitheater done where the old jail is, we can have all kinds of new park facilities and events and concerts, and it's going to be wonderful. So that's why we moved it back. It wasn't that we didn't think it was worthy to stay there, but that park is intended for baseball, frisbee, golf frisbee, and some other tennis and other things that are there currently. So each park is designated for something, just like Jesse Davis is for football and basketball up at Alice Hawthorne. So those are just something for you to put under your hat. And remember, we are putting $3.5 million.
It's all about the kids. And like I say, I'm going to iterate it again. When you got single parents that is a relief to them, and they can bring their kids and let these kids run in this park, and then the facility for us, the restroom is available.
Yes, sir.
It's accountability. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm asking for, is accountability, because in the square, You got different venues. You got pub. You got, it's so many different venues with alcohol or whatever.
Yes, sir.
But it was a success there. And if something, I was always told, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And my thing, it put us on the map. Whether a lot of people realize it or not, we had people coming from Atlanta to come out here to see Douglasville wind down.
Yes, sir.
They came from all over. And I'm just asking, in the near future, just look at it.
Yes,
Because
sir.
kids, remember, our kids, that's all I'm asking. I
Yeah, but the
understand what
concert
you're
is
saying,
not
and I
for the
respect you,
kids. The
but I'm
concert's for
just
the
saying,
parents. It's not for the kids.
I understand that too, but
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just saying you have parents that single parents and they have to bring their kids with
Yes,
them.
sir.
So I'm just saying,
Yes,
I
sir.
understand that and I respect that, but I'm just saying in the near future, just,
Alrighty, thank you so much. Thanks for your comments. Any other comments from citizens and delegates? Yes, sir.
Again, Mayor Robinson,
Mitchell.
Councilman.
Say your name again for us, Mr. Mitchell. I know you're ready.
My
to
name
give
is
the-
David Mitchell.
Yes,
I
sir.
reside at 6286 Cooper Street, Douglasville, Georgia,
Uh-huh.
30134. Elderly people have to live somewhere, and the Congress speaks in legislation of disabled people and elders not being integrated in our living arrangements or our surroundings. We're trying to get rid of things like that because that's discrimination. Some of the verbiage sounded that there were elements that described that, but also on the same token, compassion for these people so they may live, because they are people. We are all together. And we're in 2019. Changes are being made, and times have changed.
Yes,
and to have a single live, whatever they were saying, they wanted to keep it the same. How would that be if it was all over the place? Where would the elders live? Where would disabled people live? And if they didn't have the respect that this gentleman was trying to present to you, and being taken to other places where it is, lacking in some of the proper cares, then there's abuse. And also to keep in mind, Americans with Disability Act, Title II, there are financials that are ability under Section 504(19) of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 that can also assist and restructure with reasonable accommodations to make it a well-rounded community and beautify Douglasville even more.
Yes,
I think that's very important, since it apparently, I don't know, but I will have an interest in going to Melrose because I'm not aware of that area. So I will organize myself more appropriately to present something that might be more sufficient for your acceptance. It's very important because they deserve it. We
Yes,
all
sir.
deserve a quality of life and peaceful enjoyment. That's what the federal government put into law. Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me
Thank you,
be here,
Mr.
and I
Mitchell.
look forward to being here again.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Any other comments from citizens and delegates? Okay. Well, not seeing any. We do have a staff report from Communications Committee, Councilman Miller. Is this something in addition? Is Mr. Aaron going to come forward, or are you just telling us that we're now going to have everything printed? That's what it is, Mr. Sarowitz? I can't see that back there. That's different.
If I might
Yes, sir.
complain, Madam Mayor, I don't see that that's
Yes,
fair
sir.
to Mr. Sarowitz. I thought he's done a great job, and now
Me
we're
too.
taking him away
We
from him.
want Aaron. Can we veto that? No, I'm just kidding.
We may get him the voiceover, so you all can feel as though he's still with you all.
Yeah, we don't want to. There you go. If
We're
we
going to
put
have
the
to stick his
with
picture
Aaron.
up there, please.
So now it's rolling, like I said, like the church announcements. They're just going to show what's going on, and then we'll have a printed document. And you all will upload this information for us so that we won't miss anything. Okay. I see all the heads in communications. They're like, yes, that's what we'll do.
Jason's back there nodding.
Okay.
I can't see him, but he's nodding.
I see. You have X-ray vision like Superman. Oh, gosh. Okay, so there is not anything else out of staff announcements. Then we'll continue to move on We do have an executive session, and so I will open the floor for a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss potential land acquisition.
So moved.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning into executive session to discuss a potential land acquisition, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned into executive session after a 5-minute recess.